All right, so thank you everyone for joining tonight's call. Tonight we're going to hone in on sharing our story and finding a need with the other person so that they get interested in what we have to offer. And tonight you're going to hear from Dana and Anthony. So for those of you that don't know them, Dana is an accomplished author, and she's probably one of the most popular executives you will ever meet. She's had the opportunity to be on several podcasts like Lindsay Elmore's, as well as she was probably the lowest ranked person that was on a third-party essential oil summit. But she is also an introvert, and she will be the first one to tell you that about 1% of the business is easy for her. She is a person that always does it scared and does what she needs to do. And she has a thriving business because she's willing to do that. And then her husband, Anthony, is probably one of the most engaged husbands at the level they are at. He will be the first one to tell you that he was basically forced via gunpoint to get to the convention. And he was very upset with his pink lanyard. But once we introduced him to our upline RCD, Scott Schuler, who is basically a mix between Sons of Anarchy and the Marlboro Man. He's like the least oily looking man you ever want to meet. He had a conversation with him, and he has been into oils and into Young Living and wholeheartedly supporting his wife ever since. So with that, I will turn it over to them.
Good evening.
Thank you for that introduction. Before we get started though, if you have an oil near you, I want you to grab an oil because I think this is something that is super important for us to start with. Oil up, right? So we want to oxygenate, we want to be in the right frame of mind. I'm kind of embarrassed to show the oil that I chose only because it's missing most of its label, but this is actually one of my favorites. It's The Gift. If you are familiar with the book, The Gift, Gary Young, this was a blend that actually Mary put together specifically for Gary, and it's one of my absolute favorites. The reference guide, some of the benefits of The Gift. Again, as mentioned, for me, a lot of this is not easy, and so this is one that I use to help ground me. This is one I use that has some amazing oils in it that just helps me realize that I am the gift, right? Like, so even though I don't necessarily see the talents or I don't necessarily see certain things, I want to give that back to others. So grab your oil and oil up before we get going in our discussion and get started. And always activate your oils and make sure you get them in there, okay? So we want to inhale and get all of the notes of that oil because some of them don't get into that olfactory until you get the last portions of that note.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me pause right there just for a second. Can everyone hear us now? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear us now. Okay, so we're good. Okay. All right, go ahead, continue.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what you guys missed of what I said, but
no, so
is everybody oiled up? If you're oiled up, then we can go. Okay. Cool beans. So today what I really wanted to start with, because the subject matter is craft your story. I think there's two things that when I love these kids so much, I can't even tell you. Stacey, your kids are adorable. When you share Young Living, I think, at least for me in the beginning, when I was very, very clear on my why, and when I was very, very clear on just sharing my story, that's when my business actually did the best. When I started overcomplicating things with facts and figures and prices and trying to diagnose people and do all of these things, that's when my business got complicated, and that's when actually my numbers started going down. So that's why I really, really think that this is a super, super important topic if you truly, truly want to grow in your business and you want to reach people. So right now, I've been really, really thinking about where I was when I got started. So when I got started, I had just started back working. I had been on bed rest with my son for 5 months, which of course financially left us strapped. Um, we didn't have extras. There were times when I had to choose between putting gas in my car and making sure my son had the proper diet in order to be well. Um, that is a tough place for many mothers to be in, but that's where I was. And so when Tashina brought Young Living to me, I couldn't mentally, emotionally understand what she was bringing. The reality is right now, there are so many people in this exact same position. They don't know what tomorrow is going to bring for them financially. They don't know. So when we just talk about oils or we just talk about certain things, they're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my bills next month. I don't know if I'm going to have a job or something to go back to, right? So right now, one of the most important things that we can do is bring people hope. We can bring them something that is tangible that can actually help them financially. And I know that there's quite a few on here that are executive or above. So, you know, even where you are financially, what Young Living has done for you. Um, Again, once I started with Young Living, I never paid for my products, right? So I was able to adjust and change where I could bring in enough to cover our basic needs when it came to my son who had an illness to be able to support him. That's huge. Even if that's all people in your organization ever do, that's going to be huge. And so it's important to hone in on that story, even if it's all they need to do is get an extra $50, even if it's I need $300 to pay for the things. Where can you go with that? How can you craft that? And so when we talk about your story, really picture where were you when you first started Young Living, right? Maybe it was just the health things that you were looking for. Maybe it was to support somebody else. But as you evolved, how did that help you? So our stories can't just be simply these oils are amazing, they're great, you should use them, but how did they affect your life? And how can they change and help somebody else? And you want to make sure that your story is relatable. So there was not last convention, but the convention before that, Heather Brock gave an amazing presentation on this very thing. And one thing that I really appreciated in that presentation is for her, she was like, well, I've never been vaccinated. I was homeschooled my whole life and my kids are homeschooled. But if I go to regular mothers with that story, they can't relate to that, right? But what can they relate to? They can relate to the fact that we are both mothers. And so she doesn't necessarily start with that. She starts with what can relate to other people, right? Because people don't care about the scientific backing of why this oil is better than that and this company before this company. What they care about is how this is going to affect their lives, where they are, and how it's going to help and support them.
And I just want to add to that because honestly, I know for me, I have to kind of tell our story a little bit because it wasn't until I found somebody whose story resonated with me that I actually came on board with Young Living. Not only using them as products, but also becoming a distributor, getting my own account. So for those who are on that don't know our stories, I'm going to give the abbreviated version. Dana explained that Tashina introduced her to Young Living. Was it 4 years ago? It's been almost 4 years.
Almost 5.
Almost 5 years ago. So at the time, I was working as an LPN at the hospital. I grew up with a background of traditional medicine. I took a medication for everything, so much to the point where My body is very resistant to antibiotics. We took a medication for everything. So when Dana approached me with the idea of using oils to take care of our health, the first oil that she introduced me to was Joy. To this day, I do not like the smell of Joy. It just does not resonate with me. It's very girly, very frou-frou. It just was not up my alley whatsoever. And then 2 months later, she was talking about flying all the way to Salt Lake City, Utah, to go to the national convention, which tickets were not cheap. Number one. Number two, plane tickets were not cheap. And it was Salt Lake City. If I may be candid, I did not think there were Black people that stayed in Salt Lake City. So we were not going to go. Um, but it wasn't until I got there, I met Scott Schuler. He's actually a good buddy of mine. And his story his story and his personality resonated with me because he didn't try to sell me on anything. It was more of, this is how I got started using oils and they work. And then I started asking him questions. He was like, they just work. I don't know the answers to any of the questions that you're asking me. They just work. Like, this is what I like. And so that was like my aha moment for me, where I'm like, oh, well, if they work, I'll try them. His story resonated with me, and that's what made me want to try them. Now, by what is it, the Myers-Briggs test? That's the colors one?
No.
Okay. Well, the personality, yeah, if people are shaking their head, they're like, no. See, I don't know the answers to all of this, but my personality, I'm green blue. I'm usually a very analytical person, but for me to get started, it didn't matter how much information Dana tried to give me. It was someone's story that resonated with me that said, okay, let me give this a shot. And then the information came later, and that's what helped to build my faith and actually turned me into a very avid oiler and a user of Young Living's products. So I know sometimes people feel like we have to be salesy, or we have to fill people's head with knowledge for them to get started. But in actuality, they just want to know, are you more like me or are you less like me? Do we have anything in common? Do we think alike? And usually by telling your story, that's how they'll figure that out. Even today, now by trade, I work as an electrician. And one of the guys that I work with, he sees me drink my Ningxia Red every single day when I come in. It's the first thing I do as soon as I walk through. Everyone knows I drink the red drink. Everybody's been offered the red drink, but nobody else is drinking the Kool-Aid for some reason. But his wife is actually, I don't think she's a distributor, but she uses Young Living products. So as soon as I started to explain to him, I'm like, yeah, I swear by them. Like, this is part of our natural routine. He was like, he always sees me using Diagize and putting on my Shutran oil in the morning. This is my normal routine. This is part of who I am. And I'm very casual about it and very candid about it. So I don't need to sell him or sell anybody else on the fact that they need to start using oils. This is just what I do. If you ask me about them, I'm going to tell you about them. But outside of that, I'm not going to bombard you with any more information than you actually need. I know that you're just asking these questions because you want to know, do we think alike? Do we have things in common? And once I feel like we do, well, now I'm ready to make a purchase, or now I'm ready to make a move. So don't overcomplicate it. Like, make yourself a product of the product, because that's going to be the best way to share your story. Your story is being crafted every single day. I know for me, I'm getting different results using Shutran now that I hadn't even before, and I'm trying new oils that I've never tried before. So now I have more stories, or more of a story to share with people, and it's exciting. Like, more recently, I got Envision, which was the first time I tried it, and I said, I'm going to commit to putting Envision on every single morning before I go into work, because I have goals that I'm trying to accomplish, and I want to stay focused on those goals. And I'm excited about my day. Like, to accomplish those goals, it's exciting for me. So that's something that I share with people. When they ask, because they're always going to comment about how good you smell, right? Mm-hmm. There should be a story tied to every smell that people smell, because it's not going to be the same smell every single day, right? We're using different oils, we're trying different products. So crafting your story, it's a continuous process. It's a continuous process. I encourage and implore everyone, try something new. Try a new product every single month. ER is the best way to do that. Like if you're not on Essential Rewards and you're on this call, get on Essential Rewards because it's going to be the best way for you to try different products and see what resonates with you and continue to build your story.
And I'll just add to that too. So especially as leaders, when you think about the people in your organization, the people that you've signed up, sometimes they're holding back in sharing because they feel like they need to know everything. They feel like, well, I haven't used that many products. I only have the kit, right? Or they feel like, well, you're the expert and we should probably go to you. And the reality is if they have a relationship with somebody specific, the person that they have a relationship wants to hear from them. They don't want to hear from me because in their eyes, they're like, I don't know who she is. Who cares that she wrote a book? Like, what does that have to do with, you know what I mean? Like because sometimes in like the Young Living, community, we have like these community celebrities where it's like, well, Lindsay Elmore said this. And they're like, well, who the heck is Lindsay Elmore? I don't know who that is. Right? Like, but they're going to want to start and they're going to want to get going because they're like, well, you're my friend and you like those cough drops. So I'll try those cough drops. That seems cool. Right? Like that's usually how it works. And so I think my biggest message really is we don't need to overcomplicate it. People, they buy you. They don't buy the products. They don't buy Young Living. They can go to the grocery store and get oils. We know that the quality is not as good, but what's going to keep them and what's going to keep them coming back is the community that they feel. It's the relationship that they have with you. It's they're gravitating to your stories and what you're expressing to them. And so keep that in mind and don't overcomplicate it because I really, really saw a difference in my organization once it was like in my head. Because in the beginning, like I'll never forget like of my first couple checks, like me and him got into it because he's like, well, you didn't tell me you were doing a business. And I'm like, I'm not doing a business. I don't know why this check came. I don't know where it came from. But it was just because I was simply sharing. Like I went to work, I put the oils on, and I was like, these are amazing. You should try them. Like I gave a girl a bottle of Joy because I didn't like the smell of Joy in the beginning, and that was what came in my kit. And she.
I'm cracking up with Valerie's face. She's like, how does no one like Joy?
I'm sorry. I love Joy now, but I just didn't know. But that's what I'm saying. That's how naive I was. I didn't know. But she bought a kit later on because I was like, these oils are amazing. Here's a free oil. She's like, I like that oil. I want another one. I was like, okay, well, it's $160 for it. And she bought the kit. Like, and that, I'm like, when I tell you, like, they don't know what they don't know. And so anything that we share with them, anything that we put in front of them, again, it's not about us, and it's not about the quality and all of those things. It's really about our stories and our experiences and sharing those with people.
So can we segue then just a little bit, because also we want to give everyone time if they want to share some expressions or have questions also. But can we segue about talking about using our tools then?
Yes.
Okay. So when I looked at the topic for this tonight, for this discussion, and we were talking about using tools, our stories are a great tool, right? They help to humanize us. They help to make it seem that we're not the authority, so that makes us more relatable. But sometimes the downside of that is, what about the person that wants the authority, or they want more information than we're able to give them? I think, does everyone know who Shannon Hudson is? Yeah. So Shannon's story when she got started, and it cracks me up. She's like, I don't know how any of this works. Sign here. And she actually had people that were able to sign up. Now, long term, Does that continue to work? It can, but you want to build stability in your business, right? So you have to have some type of, I don't want to say mathematical way to approach it, but you have to have some way that's tried and tested to be able to turn over signups, right? And I think some of the best tools you can use, number one, is your upline. So, like I mentioned, your story helps to humanize you, makes you relatable. But I feel like sometimes we underutilize our upline. Our upline is going to be viewed as the authority. So let's say you have a person that's sitting on the fence. They don't know if they want to get started or not, or they're hesitant. Call your upline. Put them on the phone, three-way call. Put them on the phone with your upline, because those questions that you're not able to answer, or you're not able to answer confidently, your upline just might. Or your upline might have faked it long enough that it's going to come across very convincing. So utilize that. That's what we're here for.
And I will say, third-party resources are important too, right? So when and we'll get into this later, but when we go from exposure to exposure, right, people learn and they think differently, right? So I am an analytical person. The first party that I went to that Tashina held, I was late. Missed the whole party. I wasn't there for any of that. But and I was looking in the chat too, I am that person that will read the reference guide. I am that person that will take all the pamphlets and research on my own. And I stalked so many diamonds and leaders before I even tried to start doing the business, because for me, when people had questions and I didn't have the answer, I would just shoot them a video, or I would shoot them a third-party resource, or I would shoot them something like after we've had conversation, because maybe I started with this one thing and that just wasn't enough information for them. So then now use those resources to be another spot for them to hear, because they might need a video, or they might need an audio, or they might need something to touch tangible in order to relate to it, because everybody learns so differently. And then that kind of goes into our baseline, right? So we know what foundational kits we have, right? So in general, people start with what? They start with the Ninja, they start with Thieves, or they start with oils, right? So baseline, those three are pretty universal, where we probably have them covered. We should be taking our Ninja Red every day, right? We're cleaning our house with Thieves, and we're diffusing, especially this time of year. We want, more oxygen flowing. And so if we're doing those three key things, those are going to be super easy to share with other people, because when they come to your bathroom, they're using Thieves soap. When they, come over your home, they smell the diffuser going. So it's so much easier to be able to use those, again, as third-party resources, and be able to share with people naturally. So it doesn't seem weird. It doesn't seem salesy. It doesn't come off across like, oh, here she comes again, right? Like, I, especially even in the beginning, I'm like, most people came to me. Like, it was like, oh, I saw a post, or, oh, you smell a certain way. They came to me, and it was just my job to close it, right? So once they are interested, well, this is, oh, you like my Thieves soap in the bathroom? Great, it's $160. Here's the kit to go with it, right? Like, it just keep it simple.
Yeah. And so with all of that being said too, I mean, you have many tools at your resources. Like Dana mentioned, you have the physical tools, you have allowing them to touch the oils, you have your third party resource like your upline, but even events. Now I know here in Michigan, we're not allowed to leave the house for the next 3 weeks. Okay. So something like this is an event. People are concerned about their health and wellness right now. So when you look at the online classes that are being held, the Zoom classes that are being held, invite people that you know, that have even mentioned that they have some inkling of being interested in what you have to offer. If they've said something about being worried about their health and wellness, invite them to a class. And for the next 3 weeks, this is all we have. So pack out this room, because you have experienced people who are on that have been part of Young Living, that are growing, developing. Allow them to do the talking for you. Allow them to be a resource, so that all you have to do after the class is over is say, okay, so what kit do you want? When do you want to get started? And make it real simple. You don't have to do any more talking after that. What kit would you like to get? And when do you see yourself getting started?
Right. Thanks, Rebecca. And then I don't know if everybody got to see the Morning Dose of Valor, but can I just tell you, like, Jamie Neto is like my road dog. Like, I was like all in the whole time, because I'm actually one of those people that do like the little Blogatti's workouts on TV or whatever, but I'm also the one that's like, I can't do that stretch. I'm gonna just watch you guys. I'll be back when I'm ready for it. So she had me cracking up with like her whole thing, but her message today was basically like, people are online, right? So just hit the live button and do whatever you do. It does not have to be cute. It does not have to be together. Like, just show your face and your audience are going to just gravitate to it. And I love that so much, because I'm that type of person. I'm like, oh, I got to put my lashes on, my makeup's not done, like, or whatever. And just do it. Like, right now, people need hope. People need answers. Like, people need, and I hate to say it like this, but they need distractions. Some people just need to like laugh for 2 seconds, because this is very, very a crazy situation where like so many people are anxious. And so we might be able to be that light for them. We might be able to be that hope for them. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to let people see your personality and see who you are, because your people will gravitate to you because of who you are.
So if we can summarize, because it's 9 o'clock and we want to give them opportunity. You have anything else to add? Okay. So if we can summarize, and I want to give you guys action steps that are something that you can move forward with. So like I mentioned, set a goal to try one new product for 30 days a month, so that you craft and expand your story and your experiences. Number 2, make use of the tools that you have. So whether that be a desk reference guide or a YouTube video or an online class or Zoom meeting, take full advantage of those. Even the ones that are pre-recorded, you can send those online to individuals. They can watch them, and then you ask those 2 questions again. Which kit would you like? And when do you see yourself getting started? And you shut up, because you're going to get an answer. You're going to get an answer that's either, yeah, okay, I want the Thieves Starter Kit, and I will get it as soon as I get my stimulus check, or whatever excuse they want to give you. But it forces people to give you an answer. And then it allows you to not have to worry about it anymore. Now you can move on to the next person. Okay, which kit do you want to start with, and when do you see yourself getting started? Okay. That's what I want to give you guys. That's all that I have to offer. Is there anything else that you wanted to give? Unless we want to open it up for questions or experiences. Yeah, we'll turn it over to you guys. Any thoughts or questions? Anything that you're struggling with that you would like maybe a different perspective or some help on?
No, everybody's great. They're perfect.
We're all Royal Crown Diamonds.
RCD.
There's no introverts that have some questions, some things they need some help to work through?
I do. This is Helwa. Right now, I'm struggling with 2 people, prospects, that they were very interested in the kit, but because of what's going on, they're like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen, and I don't think I'm going to spend the money on this if I don't know if I'm going to have a job. So do you have any suggestions on what to say? Because I'm like, oh, I want to help you, but
I love that one, Hello. Did I pronounce that correct? Helloa?
Yes, you got it.
Um, here's something to think about, and I teach financial wellness, so when I get these questions, they always kind of make me chuckle because usually there's a deeper underlying issue than what they're saying. So when a person says, "I'm unsure of how much money I'm going to have," the kid is too expensive. It's not really that it's expensive. It's more so that I I'm not convinced that this is important enough for me to spend my money on right now. So we get it. People are concerned about their jobs. They're concerned about a lot of things going on, finances as well. But I think one thing that's probably higher on people's list that they're concerned about right now is their wellness, their health, right? So if you look across the climate, especially here in the United States right now, things do not look good. The people who are seeking medical attention and help, they may not be able to get it. They're concerned about how am I going to be able to pay for this? And I've always been that person when someone tells me that the kid is too expensive, I'm like, you know what else is expensive? Is medical bills. When I used to work in the hospital, it was $300 to check somebody's blood sugar every single time. And we checked it 5 times a day. So $1,500 a day times however many days you were in the hospital. You know how much an X-ray is, or any type of medical procedure that you have to have done. It's very expensive. So what they're telling you right now is, I'm not concerned about my health that much right now. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So what we have to do is we have to build that value, because we're not going to be able to change their minds about how much discretionary spending they have. We're not going to be able to change their mind or to create dollars in their bank accounts that weren't there. What we have to do is we have to show them that this is very important, this works, and you're going to save money in the long run because you're going to be healthy. You're not going to be spending as much money on your medical bills because you're going to do everything possible to try to keep yourself out of the hospital.
Okay, I'm going to give you the yellow perspective of that too. So when I got started, and I tell everybody this, when I got started, again, I was financially strapped. I was honestly financially strapped. But the things that I was doing showed both my sister and my mom, there's two of them, that I cared about health and I cared about my son's health. And so because they dug deeper and they were more intuitive, they allowed me to buy an oil, and to the point where they were like, you could have got the kit by now, right? And space it out, right? So they slowly let me feel a little pain. But they slowly let me feel a little pain, but I also got to benefit from the oils. So the oils were a part of my life, even though I was nickel and diming. They had to, well, I shouldn't say had to. They did, because they, again, saw what I saw and dug deeper. They bought my kit. They band together to buy my kit, okay? But there were stipulations that came with that buying of my kit. I had to get that money back to pay for that kit, right? I had to bring people to classes in order to sign people up and get them going in order to get that kit. So it didn't come just, oh, they gifted it to me and there you go. Now, at this time, I am their strongest leader, right? At least my mom's, right? So when you think about that, like, dig deeper with the person is really the purpose of what I'm telling you. So make sure, is it really the finances that you're worried about, right? And it's okay to circle back to that person in 6 months. Maybe now is not the right time for them. So right now, maybe, okay, well, just try out this sample. Just put this in your life, right? And keep it in the back of your, and I'll keep checking on you and keep getting the education. And I'll come back when you're ready in 6 months, right? Because timing is important, and I hear and I agree, value, But for me, because there were so many things going on, like I couldn't even grasp the value of this kit. Like my brain was not there yet, just because the timing was bad in the beginning.
Yeah. Does that help, Eloa?
Yes, thank you so much. Now I'm going to get these two signed up.
And I like the point and get them to the classes, make
If we're not consistent,
them
that
involved.
one of those things that we've done before, and we may not be there in 3 or 4 months when they're ready to get started. So be consistent. This is a long term thing. Be there when it's time to circle back.
Yep. Go to the next person.
Carrie, I saw you.
But don't
unmuted
give up
yourself.
on them.
Oh,
All right, thank you.
Carrie, I saw you unmuted yourself. Did you have a question or something?
Oh, just that. I love the point that Dana said that you see the potential there, so reach deeper, get them to these classes, keep them educated, get them using the oil, and we can do that. Certain classes online, like I wouldn't necessarily invite the girl I talked to yesterday, wouldn't necessarily invite her to this. It's more of a business class, but I'm sure there are more classes that just talk about the kits and the oils, but I mean, I've been talking to her for like a year. I just talked to her yesterday. Now I'm probably losing my job, so I can't get it right now, but I keep thinking about it. But I like what you said, come to the class, bring someone else too, get those people to sign up, and then your kid's paid for. So that was great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carrie. Curry.
And I feel like, just to add to that, that shows you if it truly is the money or if it's really something else, right? So like, if it truly is just the money and you tell me, oh, just bring some people, okay, well, I'll try that. I'll bring people because I do want it. I just don't have the money. But a lot of times you'll get the people that they ain't bringing nobody because it's not really the money.
Yeah, and teach them to bring people and then get their kit paid for too. You know, like if we can share the information, and I personally, that's what I did. I have friends that she couldn't, like, and she was a recently divorced, like, single mom, you know, she couldn't get the kit, but she wanted it. She knew everything because she came to every single thing that I would host or that we had for months and months. And even like she started to not feel that great and like, but didn't have anything. She had one, like a thieves hand sanitizer, like who would kill for one of those right now? But she had a hand sanitizer. She was like slathered that all over herself so she didn't get sick. She was like, short of, I think, drinking it, which I don't know that she didn't, but she really, like, she did all she could. That's what she did in order, you know, it took her, I bet, 5 or 6 months, but, you know, and you're right, Dana, she came and she brought friends and she told people and she was ready. It really was, she could not, you know, have all that money at one time. So yeah, just keep working there.
And
okay, I got a quick question related to that because everybody's in, well, I don't know if everybody's in lockdown where you're at, but they are where I'm at. But like through the app, you can still send the samples and stuff like that. So getting them using them. I haven't hardly used the app.
Yeah, I use it all the time. So anytime I meet like somebody on LinkedIn, that is what I use in order to send it to them because, you know, that way I'm not having to put something together for somebody that's a stranger. And then this is something that Valerie's going to teach us about next week, again, when it talks to exposure to exposure. And if you guys aren't going through the book GoPro, if you've never gone through it, I do definitely recommend that you go through it. It depends on people's awareness level too. Like if they've never ever heard of oils and they think the oils are this weird voodoo other country thing, they're not gonna buy them the first time. They've got to hear it like 7 times before they even think about it. So sometimes it's just the number of exposures, and that's another reason to make sure they come to every class. And yes, I know for my team, I'm an extrovert. I want to be in person, but I have to make sure that my team has a class every week. So next Tuesday, we have a self-care Facebook class, and we're doing way more Zoom classes than we've done previously, which on one side for the extroverts, that's not as fun, but it's all of my team from Ecuador can now come to every class every week because they're all going to be online this time. So there's a benefit to it as well. So keep getting, if those people say they're interested and they show up to those classes, then just keep working with them and getting them more exposures.
Yeah. Stacy, you had a thought or a question?
I did have a thought. I agree with everything that has been said about when it's the money reason, asking the further questions to see, is it really the money or is it the value? And that is reflective to us that we need to expand on the value, because there is a cross line to me on my mom's team that bought her oils with her grocery money for the month, for the entire month, for her family, because her daughter was dying. And the oils made her happy. To smell the oils made her happy. And she was like, God will send some food. And no one told her to do that, because when it's the difference of they see the value and nothing will stop them when they see the value. And she was like, this is going to make my daughter smile, and I have limited chances for that. I don't even care. She spent her grocery money. She bought her kit, and lo and behold, her daughter is alive and well 6 years later, thriving, of course, because she bought her kit. And so she's a platinum, right now, and that's amazing. But it just goes to show, like, when we have consistently presented the value of what it does for us, it's not just here's these weird oils that you can like smell, and that's fine. Some people are just like, oh, I want something in my house, that whatever. But when it's, listen, are you stuck in your house right now and like so stressed out? Are you panicking? Are you having these racing thoughts? Do you want to calm down? Does your back hurt because your cortisol levels are so high from being in fight or flight all the time? Do you know that's a thing? Do you know that if you calm down, that will go away? I know a great way to calm down, and so on and so forth. So I do think it's all about value. And when someone truly believes that the oils will have, like you said, that life-changing effect on their life, it doesn't matter about your life. When I believe that the oils are going to change my life, I'm going to find a way. And yes, some people will I have had people be like, I am going to do this. It's going to take me about 6 paydays. And then they come back on their 6th payday and they're like, I'm ready. I got it. I've been, there are some who will put you off and like whatever, but as you're presenting the value, the ones who receive it for themselves, you won't be able to send them away.
Yeah. Here's something to think about, because people pay for what they value. Now, you do have people who are losing their jobs and they're
You got muted.
Can they hear us or no?
Okay,
thumbs
you
up.
were muted and then you were frozen, and now we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
So the point that I was making is people are uncertain about their financial futures right now, and they might be afraid that they may have lost a job, or they might be afraid of losing one. But one thing they probably haven't done is they probably haven't cut the cable off. They haven't cut the quote unquote non-essentials, and the reason for that is because they value it. They say, I'm going to be in the house for the next few weeks or months. I want to be able to watch my Netflix or what have you. So people pay for what they value. We don't have to convince them to pay for something if they don't value it. But all our job is the Golf Channel. All our job is to share our story, because How many people are familiar with the feel, felt, found method? Okay. So for those who are not, when someone responds with something like that, that's why your story is important, because I know at some point I felt like the kit was expensive. But after I found out how much value we get out of it, then it no longer feels that way. When they opened up the ability for spouses and to be able to get their own accounts, the day that opened up, I dropped $180 to get my kit like it was nothing, because I recognize how valuable these products are and have become for me and my family. So that's why I say it's important to continue to build your story, because once you share that, that's how that's going to start to resonate with that person, and they're going to feel that it's valuable to them.
And I do feel like that's important too, the feel, felt, found, because I do relate with people on that too. When people tell me it's expensive, I get it, because for me, financially in the beginning, I wasn't there. But when I tell you the relief that it's given me, I have an immune compromised son. I have an asthmatic son. And with everything that's going on right now, maybe a week or so ago, he had a slight fever. But do you know, I had all confidence in my oils, and I did raindrop on his back, put warm compresses on his back. And do you know, midday the next day, this boy was jumping off walls?
He was Spider-Man.
like he'll be 6 in April, but that's the power of what I know I have. And so there is no price tag that can be put on that, right? So I would, if Young Living wasn't paying for my oils right now, I would go get a job to pay for it, because again, it is that valuable to me.
Okay, so we have a little less than 10 minutes left here. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add and or ask a question about?
Yeah, I just want to add that feel, felt, found method is really effective. I mean, I have a fine income, but the day that I went to my party, I didn't have an extra $200 to get that kit immediately. So I'm still the same, right? I'll say, I know exactly how you feel. I did not have $200 sitting in my bank account, but when Panaway was placed on my body, my life was changed. And I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if my health savings card will work for this. Oh, it swiped 2 days later. So it's like, we'll just say these are vitamins, because I have prescriptions for vitamins. As long as they don't check, we'll be good. That's how important it was to me. And when I found out all the things that the oils would do, it was worth every penny, and I would never go back. And me too, like right now, like I have a very minor issue I need to fix with my hormones, and they canceled some of my appointments this week because I am not critical. So they canceled some of my appointments. Like I need to know what my thyroid levels are, and they could care less. And I was not doing it this weekend. And I was trying to do my Atovi, that wasn't working. I finally went into my reference guide. I made myself a little like mixture. I got some heating pads, and I cannot tell you the relief that I got in a day and a half. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm like, I forget how good our oils are. You just have to use them. So like, seriously, you can't trade that. I could not get into the doctor because of a pandemic, and I had everything that I need in my house to get me out of bed. And that's what we got to offer to people.
So I just have something to say about that, because I'm working with someone now who, she was ready to buy them, the oils and the thieves. And then she just was like, I have to wait because I'm not sure about my job. And I almost want to say, like, I'm finding myself, like, I don't want to claim too much for the product, but I want to build that value. Like, do you really want to be without these, And I don't know what you have for ideas of words to build that value without really claiming stuff right now.
So my question would be, what, because she wanted the thieves kit?
She wanted the oils and the thieves, because originally she was going to come to an emotional class and she couldn't make it because something got changed with her kids. And I told her, when you get the oil kit, you have the oils in there. And then we started talking about the Thieves because she was familiar with the Thieves product also. So she was going to do both. And now it's kind of in limbo because she's not sure about her job. She has 2 girls. I'm like, you need the product too.
Right, which makes sense. And so for me, kind of how I would approach that is, again, with what's going on with the pandemic, is that what we call it? It is targeting respiratory, right? So right now, more than ever, it is important to protect that. And what we can say, and we do know, is like there are numerous oils within that kit that specifically are made to support the respiratory system, right? And granted, there's some things that aren't compliant in the reference guide about Raven, but if you look in there, I feel like you can word it to be more compliant. But the power that just that one oil could do for a household, if they just used Raven every single day to protect their respiratory, again, would be so beneficial during this time period. And then I would kind of address the financial part too. I would make suggestions like, hey, again, I get it, financially it's tough, but did you know that maybe Wednesday you could schedule like a Zoom? I'm doing an education. If you invite a couple people and they're interested too, we can get your oils paid for, and next month you'll get a check for it. And so then we come out even versus you having to come out extra money.
And if the person really wants to do it, because you've presented a
Oh. Did they drop off this time?
Say that again.
I don't know what's here. We got snow today, guys. I don't know why our internet is being glitchy. I heard you
Traffic.
Can they not hear us again?
I heard you say you presented them a solution and then you were gone. You froze.
So can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the last thought I'm going to share so that we guard everyone's time, because I feel like maybe everyone's getting on the internet since everyone is home. But if you presented solutions to their problems, then maybe those weren't really problems. So if we present a solution to address the health concerns and we presented a solution to address the financial concerns, now that's totally on them. But if you're there 3 to 6 months when something happens in their life and they have that aha moment, they'll cycle back around and they'll come when they're ready.
Yeah, and just one thing I'll add, just have enough people in your pool that when they cycle around, it's just like awesome, right? And keep loving on people. I don't stop loving on those people. Like those people, and actually because they have an even more special place in my heart, like I like be in their face more, like, hey, so how's your daughters doing? Have you heard anything more? Like, just keep loving on them.
Yeah, because my the 3 signups I have this month are one person. All 3 of my team members that are on here, we all worked on one of these people for the past 5 years, and they finally signed up. And then the other 2 people are also like been worked on for years. But when this thing happened and it hit their pain point, these 3 people were ready to come to me. So just keep your pool full. Make sure you know what their needs are. Check in regularly about their needs and the solutions we have for their needs, and just keep cycling.
Yeah. I also like Valerie and Stacy's suggestion. We're worried about compliance in public, and not saying that we don't strive to be compliant, but if you are my friend and a close associate, close family member, I'm going to give you the real. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'll leave that with you. for what it is.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Mary Young tells us to get in front of people for a reason. You know, she says it like, get in somebody's living room, sit down at the dining room table. That's what she tells people. So there's a reason she says that too. We've got to be able to talk candidly with people. You know, I mean, I say that when I have a class, I have people over to my house. I'm like, you guys aren't recording me, right? Like, no, just check in. But I'm gonna say some stuff. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna read it this way, and I'm giving you this paper that is totally compliant, and you're also looking at it like, what's this saying? You know, like, they have to interpret things, and you know, take what you want when I say this. You know, this is what, and then it's always about us. You know, like, this is my story. This is how this worked. This is what it did. You know, but so. Yeah, Rebecca, I think you are, you know, if you can say it privately, I think you should just say to her, like, you need this stuff. And then for exactly what's going on in the world. And help her to split up. Maybe, you know, like, okay, she wants thieves and she wants oils. Okay, get the oils kit, get the thieves ER kit. Or, you know, get the oils kit, get this next month on ER and this month on ER. And like, there you go. You got her all set up for the whole like 6 months.
Yeah, we did the we were going to do the PSK regular and then ER thieves, because you can't do the PSK with the ER points and get the thieves kit. It doesn't show up as an auto ship.
Right.
At least that's what I found.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, she could get both PSKs at one time, but she can't get
if she doesn't sign up for auto ship though, right?
Could probably call in and do it. I
Yeah,
don't know that
you can
online.
Yeah, you can do anything if you call in.
Yeah, you can do everything on. Yeah, you can do everything if you call in. Yeah, like I don't know
if they're letting you call in anymore, because last time I called in, they said they had to have the person on the phone.
Well, you have to have their PIN. Yeah,
No,
I mean,
they wanted the actual person right there.
well, yeah, if it's going to be a new person signing up, you do have to have all of their information. They have to be the one to do it. Just do three-way. If there's a line to call into right now, you would have to do three-way. I do three-way all the time. If I can't get past something in one shot, I'm like, okay, well, we're calling. Go three-way all the time. I won't fight with something online. But hopefully that was helpful.
So Rebecca, is the issue about the economy right now? Because she could do one kit now, sign up for Essential Rewards, get the 100, the Valor free, the 10% back, and get the next one on ER next month, instead of getting it all now. And then I would do a gift to her. If she chooses one kit, I would gift her with thieves. If she chooses the oils or whatever, but she wants something else, I would gift her a sample of something, like put a cap full of thieves in a 16-ounce bottle and give her that, so she's got something to start with. Am I following the question here correct or not?
Yeah, no, that's good, because at first it was like she was ready one day and then she was like holding, you know, and so I did say talk about splitting it. So now we're kind of, she's thinking on it.
I try to get an incentive to them to make that decision now. So
Yeah.
it'd be like, okay, what can I put in a welcome gift for you that you would find the value of getting the kit? And just kind of like, I'll give you this offer for 5 days. Let me know, and give them a deadline, because then they'll make a decision.
I like that. I like
Kathy.
to tell people, if you sign up on ER, I'll give you the gift. You know, give them a bottle of Thieves Cleaner or something if you have one. It's totally worth it, especially if that's what she needs to get her started. And then you're gonna want it again next month to get the complete line. But yeah, we highly reward ER.
Did that give you some ideas, Rebecca?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any last questions? Because we did start 5 minutes late before we wrap up the call. All right. So with that, we will close the call out for tonight. And again, next week, we're going to talk about, it's very normal for people to not immediately fork over $200 the first time you ask them. So we're going to talk about how to take them from exposure to exposure to exposure until they're actually ready next week. So everyone have an amazing evening, and we will talk to you then. Bye.
Thank
you.
you.